Do
So
you think that while we're playing something, oh, do you think we should have just um know all the chords we're playing? Like we should, right? What do
um
you think? What do
I
you
think
think about
so. I
this?
think
Yeah.
let's say ideally, yes. Ideally,
Hmm.
yeah. I think so.
Okay.
Um
Okay. Then I really should. Yeah, I think I really should work harder on that.
yeah, try to
Cause
do some analysis as
yeah.
a regular part of practicing, I think.
Hmm.
Just a little bit each time you practice and identifying chords and
Yeah.
and we can also do that together too. We do it a little bit, but we don't do like chord by chord sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more effective, I think, to study the broader um, look at a piece, like saying what's the form, what keys are we in, that kind of thing, the main features of it. Um, and then once you've done that, you could do a chord by chord sort of analysis.
Yeah.
Um,
Because
especially is expecting that when you're in a particular key, we're really looking out for the primary chords of that key and their substitutions. So once we know the key we're in, so for example, the first 8 bars or 10 bars, the first 10 bars are in the key of D. So then we think of our primary chords, which would be D, G, A, 1, 4, 5. And then we sort of try to fit every chord into that framework somehow.
yeah.
And it's not always easy to figure out what the chords are because you've got passing notes, you've got pedal notes, you've got missing notes from the chords, all sorts of things, right? Um, but if we went through this really quickly, I can sort of show you how these fit into the primary chords. So that's like E minor or A. So that's A for 2 bars. And sometimes it's D for 2 bars. Yeah. And then that'll be D for the first 2 bars there. So all right, so it's probably helpful to also write the notes of each triad, right? So D, F sharp, A, and then that's G, B, D, and then that's A, C sharp, E, G, A7, do, right? So if we look at the first bar where the melody comes in, that first chord, we've got D and F sharp. So out of the 3 primary chords, it has to be D. And then in the next bar, we have E and G and A and C sharp. And now what you might start to notice is that this bass note is repeating the whole time. So in some ways, we have to ignore it because that's called a pedal bass, right? So we can write that pedal bass at the bottom. So when we're trying to work out the chord for this bar, we don't want to include the pedal bass because it'll be confusing because it's not going to fit as the chord. But if we look at all of the other notes, we see A, C sharp, E, G. And we can sometimes stacking them like this can help, right? So A, C sharp, E, G. So that has to be A or A7. And then similar here. Now he's not just pedaling the bass, but he's also pedaling that. It makes it even trickier. He's actually pedaling the D and the A. So we have to be cautious about the A as well. So in that bar, if we stack the rest of the notes other than those, we'll have G, B, and D. So that it's got to be a G chord. Is that making sense so far?
Yeah.
When we analyze pieces, always these like moving parts and like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not black and white. It's a gray. It's always a gray area in a composition
Mm.
because music is art and right. Um, okay, and then this one we have F sharp and A. So out of the three chords, F sharp and A, D, and then the bass notes just confirm further that it's D. Um, so the next two, and sometimes you have to use your ear a little bit because to me that sounds like it's one chord. And another clue that it's just one chord is that this E and G here remain the same. And E and G, out of these primary chords, there's only one chord that has E and G in it, which is A7. You see the E and G there.
Yeah.
So in I think that's an A7 chord. And again, if we look at the majority of the notes, we have E, G, we have A, C, E, C. We have B at the start, but there's only one. There's only one B, so we can probably cross that out in terms of saying what chord is it. And so if we put all that together, A, C sharp, E, and G, it really fits with that chord. And then the last one is kind of similar again. I think it's one chord. The tricky thing is that B again, and this C sharp, that in music we'll often get passing notes too, right? Passing notes. Notes that don't belong to the chord. So you have to look at the majority of the notes again. We've got, I mean, you could argue a couple of things with this chord. You could say it's B minor because we've got B and F sharp, B, D, F sharp. But I'm also seeing we've got this F sharp that's staying the same and an F sharp there. So it's the end of the phrase too. So when you're analyzing chords, you have to think a little bit about the context. Like what do you expect at certain
Mm.
points?
Yeah.
So because it's the end of the phrase, I'm really expecting it will go back to D as well. So I'm analyzing that as a D chord too. So far there have only been three chords, and they are the primary chords.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
for someone like myself, I've done it a lot for a long time. So I just did that quite quickly. If you're not, if you haven't got a lot of experience with analysis, that could take a long time, what I just did,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
That could take a long time. So, but
And I feel currently I'm doing this playing, and I mean it's completely different when I play. I just I yeah. I actually my question was, when you play something, you're supposed to know what you're playing. Is that right? And so, but
uh,
for me, it's two separate things. When I
yeah,
play, I
yeah,
just
that's
play.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
when
yeah,
I sing, it takes me a long time to, shift
yeah,
this steps stacking up each
yeah.
other. And
It does. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
so I wish, I don't know how long it's gonna take me for, combine these two at the same
yeah.
time.
It, you know,
Just know
it
exactly what you're playing.
it's
And
not I don't think it's necessary to know every chord
Okay.
you're playing. I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
Because music, there is a certain part of music that's intuitive as well. It comes from nature and beauty and things like
Okay.
that. It's a language that we can just listen to and learn a lot just from listening to it and playing it. You learn a lot from playing music, even if you're not studying the chords and everything. You're still learning a lot about it. Um, but I think ideally, my view of, uh, I guess, like a well-rounded musician is that, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
we play and we understand music and we can compose and we like that's sort of like my goal is at least it doesn't have to be equal, but at least to incorporate some of the other things I think is really helpful. It's not that you have to be equal performer and composer and
Yeah.
you know equal with your knowledge of theory. Everyone probably has a strength. Like I think your strength is playing, and that when you compose, it kind of shows. Like you say you don't have much knowledge of theory, but when you compose something, it works out really well. I think because you can play the instrument, you have a facility on the instrument. So, and you've picked up a lot of things just from playing and that kind of thing. So we all have our strengths, and for some people, their strength is playing. For some people, their strength is composing, and their playing is very, very basic. They can't even play the music that they've written at all. They probably never will. They never will do it. For some people, theory is more of the strong point. They're really good at identifying chords and things, but the other parts of guitar playing and composing things not as strong with. So we all have strengths and weaknesses, but
Okay.
uh, if we can include the other aspects of music making in our musical life, I
Yeah.
think it benefits, and it should. Or like we're going through these chords here. With I I never want it to just be like, let's just identify the chords and that's it. There's no reason. There has to be a reason for it. There has to be a reason for every single observation you make. It should inform how you play it in some way.
Yeah.
So in this looking at the harmony, D major is resolved, and these two chords are unresolved. Or you could say there's resolution in the tonic, and there's tension in the other chords. And so that sort of, plays out in resolve. And then you can actually hear it, right? You can hear there's more tension there. And then resolved on the D. And then A, so it's going to be tension. And then resolution, right? So that
Yeah.
so it's probably something you already felt intuitively, but now that we've studied the harmony, it shows you why. It shows you why that there's the tension and resolution, and then it kind of just, I don't know, it gives you information to, because you could play it without that. You could, right? You could, without feeling that or sensing that. Um, but knowing these chords just really helps to be
Yeah.
aware of those things. Yeah. So yeah, maybe, well, the good thing about most music is it's very repetitive. So that section comes back many times, at least a few times.
Yeah.
So they're the same chords. Um, So F sharp minor is the next. And we're talking in terms of analysis, this is like, what grade is this? A must grade piece, right? So even in playing it is going to be like high level, and so will the analysis. So analyzing a piece like this is a lot of work especially if you're not used to it already. It's different if you're analyzing like a simple source study or something like that, then it'll be a lot easier to analyze. So we're getting F sharp minor. You could probably you could just about narrow it down from the amount of tension and resolution that you're hearing as to what chord it might be. So F sharp minor will be the 1, F G A B minor will be the 4, and C sharp 7 will be the 5.
Do we normally use 7 for the fifth?
Yeah,
For the
usually we
fifth?
use 7 for the
Ah,
5th,
okay.
especially in this kind of music, like the more advanced ones.
Right.
Okay, so the first chord, probably F sharp minor, right? You can hear that it's stable, it's resolved. So sharp minor, the 1 chord. The next chord, what do you reckon? And we can if we write the notes out, this can help you narrow it down. F sharp A, C sharp for F sharp minor. B, D, F sharp for B minor. And C sharp, E, G sharp, B. So that'll narrow it down for you. What do you think this chord is out of the 3?
C sharp.
Yeah, that's right. C sharp. Because we got the G sharp and the B and the E
Yeah.
sharp. So that should be E sharp. Yeah. In the chord. Yeah, so that's C sharp 7. Just that same kind of thing. We got the F sharp pedaling in the bass.
Yeah.
All right, what do you think the next chord is?
B minor.
B minor. We've got F sharp. Let's say it's just here. This is actually another chord. If just by listening to it, 1 chord, another chord, and then another chord. Chords are changing faster, and it's a clue is in the phrasing. See how the phrasing breaks up?
Yeah. First one is
What do you think?
F sharp minor.
Yeah, goes back to F sharp minor. And can you kind of hear how it resolves? So if I play it again. You hear that resolution?
Yeah.
Sense it, yeah. And then what do you think that one is?
The C sharp.
Yeah, it's C sharp. Good. It's close to being B, isn't it? 'Cause it's got D.
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
D is
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah. But the majority's kind of winning because of the G sharp, B, C sharp. There's 3 of those notes in this chord. So it's C sharp, excuse me, C sharp 7 again. So just going tonic dominant, and then
Tonic.
Tonic. Back to F sharp minor. Isn't that, you know, it's just why I love the primary chords, because
Yeah.
it at least it narrows it down. So yeah. And then we go into the key of A major. So that's F sharp key, sharp minor. And then we go to A major. So then we have to think about what the primary chords of A major are. So that'd be A, D, and E. And then we put the put in the so E7, and then we put the and the more you do this, the faster you just start to you just start to know. Now this is a bit trickier because there's a lot more happening now. So what do you think's going on in the first bar of A major? You think it's just one chord? Probably a good question to think, well, how many chords are there in this bar?
2 chord.
2 chords, yeah, 2 chords. So probably like 1, 2. So the first chord is
A.
A.
A. Yeah.
Yeah. A, C sharp, E. And this chord's most likely to be
E7.
E7. Good, because of the G sharp. Yeah. Even though there's no E in it, technically there is in the bass actually, because that bass note technically is still ringing on. So yeah.
And the F sharp notes, it's confusing.
And the F sharp is just a passing tone. It's just not part of the chord. We're not always going to get every note of the chord, because
Yeah.
otherwise music would just be boring if we did that.
Is it passing? Is it passing note always on the top?
No,
Oh,
not always. It very often will be in the melody, but it's just
yeah.
it can be in any
Could
part.
be different. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and then this kind of thing here is tricky in terms of like chords, but I think we can still narrow. If we had to put a chord on each beat like that, I think we could do it, and it would still relate to the primary chords.
Yeah.
So the first one would be we have B, G sharp, and D. So which it's
E7.
still E7,
E.
and then the next one is C sharp and A and E.
A.
A.
And that
The next one is
D.
D. And the last one,
E.
E. There you go.
Oh. Okay.
So yeah, 7, A, E, D, sorry, D, E. Okay, now it's going to get a bit, when you start to see lots of sharps and naturals and flats, it's going to be more complicated. It probably means it's not going to be the primary chords. The primary chords fit in the key that you're in. If you're seeing lots of sharps and naturals and things, then they're not probably chords that don't belong to the key you're in. The first chord, C sharp, A, and E, so that will be
A.
A. All right. Now it gets trickier. one thing we have to keep in mind is that we're going back to the key of D. So it's possible that he's going to start introducing chords that take us back to D. Sometimes it's worth going backwards. If we go back to the primary, if we look at this bar and we go back to the primary chords, how many chords do you think are in this bar?
2 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah. I think it's 3. 1, 2, 3, like that. So if we go back to the primary chords of D, all the way at the top of the page there, maybe I'll drag them down here. So B, G, A7. Yeah, so this bar is taking us back to D. So actually these chords are not in the key of A, especially because the G sharp, the defining note of A major is G sharp, right? That's that G sharp there, that G sharp here. That's kind of giving us a clue that it's in A major. The key signature of A major has 3 sharps in it, yeah? So that G sharp becomes G natural here, and then G sharp there, and then G natural there. So you can see this point here is unstable, and the reason is because it's transitioning from A back to D. Yeah. So we can work backwards. We can say this is D. So it's most likely that what comes just before D is fairly stable, because if you go unstable and then you arrive at a key, it'll be a bit weird. So if we look at this bar, what do you think that chord is? Sorry, you just dropped out. Sorry, you just dropped out. You said A. I heard you say A.
Yeah.
Yes. A. This one?
G.
G. Good. All right, next one. Let's say that's one chord. What's it most likely to be?
A.
Yeah, A7.
A7.
Yeah. With a G in there too.
Yeah.
There we go.
The B flat is just.
The B flat's just a passing. Yeah. Chromatic. It's like chromatic motion. B flat, A. You could have done that, right? Just another B natural, but the B flat adds a bit of color too. Chromatic, the word chromatic sort of comes from the word color. Chroma and color.
Okay.
So whenever there's chromaticism in music, it usually creates extra color in the music. So then there's just this part here. Okay, now this is a bit trickier. So now we just have to stack in thirds to figure out these chords, unless there's any that you can recognize. Like this one, you can probably work that one out. It would belong to the key of A still. We have B, G sharp, D.
G sharp.
Yeah, it's one of these chords, A, D, or E7.
E7.
Yeah, E7. All right, so that's good. So that leaves only these 2 chords now that are tricky. We'll just have to stack it in thirds. So can you stack that one in thirds?
Yeah.
There's a note missing as well if you
So,
do.
so A, C, E, G.
Good. A, C, E, G. So that means A sharp
E.
something. Yeah. If we put the E in. Do you have any gut instincts about what that chord is?
A sharp minor.
No. No, what I'm trying to do. That's it. That would be A sharp minor. No, it's A sharp diminished, that one.
Diminished.
Yeah, A
Okay.
sharp diminished. There are a few ways you can figure that out. One is the process of just stacking in major thirds or minor thirds. You can create all of our basic chords from stacking major thirds or minor thirds together. So diminished chord is when you stack minor thirds. They're all minor thirds. That's what we make. So one test is that if you play A sharp on the guitar, a minor third, I don't know if you remember this trick, but a minor third is from finger 1 to finger 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's minor third.
that's a minor third.
Huh.
So from A sharp to C sharp is a minor third. Minor third. And then from C sharp to the next note, which would be E, that's the same. That's also a minor third. Because it fits in like one hand span. And then from E to G. From E to G, same thing. So if I went from E, that's also a minor third. So that's diminished. Another way that you might know this chord is if you're familiar with the chord shape. I think there is. Let me see if I can find this. This is where practicing harmony can be so helpful, because if you can recognize it from a chord shape, you don't need to be like stacking thirds, just trying to find these diminished chords. Pretty sure sure they're here. Diminished seventh chords. Does it have that exact shape? Let's see. This is drop D2, so that's a bit of a tricky one. No, it doesn't have that exact shape. No. But yeah, so that's a diminished chord. You can try to keep chord shapes like in your memory if you can. So like if you play that chord and you figure out it's a diminished chord, and try to remember that chord shape, and if you see it being used in another piece, you can sort of remember, that chord shape, I remember that's A sharp diminished, right?
Yeah.
That's E7, so that's A sharp diminished, A sharp diminished 7. This one's very interesting. if we stack it in thirds, it'd be E, G, B.
So
Oh yeah,
E.
E, G sharp, and B sharp is a chord we come across very rarely. It's not major, it's not minor, it's not diminished.
Augmented.
Augmented, yeah. So augmented is, remember, diminished are minor thirds stacked together. Augmented chords are major thirds stacked together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Major and minor chords are a combination of major and minor thirds. Diminished are all minor thirds, augmented are all major thirds. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this would be so this would be like if we go from E, so that's a minor third to G natural. So I have to stretch another fret, G sharp, E, and then G sharp goes to B sharp now to create a major third. So that's E augmented. Those are two very unusual, especially that one,
Oh,
augmented.
yeah, but hang on. Daniel, I thought B and E doesn't have sharp. Is that right? B and E note.
Oh, that's a uh,
But
that's like something
but
we tell. That's something we tell people when they first learn theory to not confuse them.
ah,
There are definitely B sharps and E sharps. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Because if you had a chord like, if you had, let's say, um, let's say we have C major. What if we wanted to make C sharp major? We would have to, everything would have to go up a semitone. C sharp, C becomes C sharp, E becomes E sharp,
E sharp.
and G becomes G sharp. The problem with if there was no E sharp, if we spelled that as an F, we're not spelling it correctly, right? We're not spelled. There would be C F G,
I
which is not
see.
C sharp F G sharp, which doesn't stack in thirds. So that, yeah, what you said there is something I often say that, like, to people, for like people who are first learning about theory. I'll say, yeah, don't worry about it. E sharp doesn't exist for now. Don't worry about it. Or B sharp doesn't
Okay.
exist, or yeah, B sharp doesn't exist for now. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
But pretty soon, like, it'll come up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, is that enough analysis maybe? So because
Yeah.
then it goes back to this section,
Yeah.
and then it's F sharp minor
B and then
again, so which
yeah.
is pretty much the same. I think the only difference is this
Okay.
part here. Which we've sort of
Yeah, we
identified
did.
that because it's an interesting chord, you can we said you can kind of play into it a little bit more. You can hear the resolution there to A. So that's a significant amount of the piece that we've just covered, um, and I think I've shown you that the majority of chords we see in music are based on the primary chords, even in a more complex piece like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it help?
Yeah. Yes. Helps a
What I'd
lot.
suggest you
Definitely. I will.
do is, for analyzing first, is don't start with pieces like this, because that's like giving someone, you know, a book in Japanese who doesn't, that's very, like, a very advanced read,
Yeah. I know what you
and
mean.
just saying, try to read this.
Yeah.
It's doable, but it'll take a long time.
Hmm.
Um, I think it'd be better to go to some simpler pieces like Saw studies. Saw is really good because Fernando Saw is a great composer. So you're studying great music as well. So you study some studies by Fernando Saw and I think especially the easier ones. Like if I just give you a quick example of something, like 30 Opus 31. Oh, but it's, even need to find need to find some studies that are. I'm thinking of this guy. These studies might be better. A little bit hard to read, but let's see. It's like music where the harmony is, I guess, fairly. These are not the easiest to read, but we're in the key of C major. So if we get the primary chords, C, F, and G, and we just look at like this first 4 bars or so, I think you could pretty quickly work out what each chord is, right?
Yeah.
The thing is there will be points where it won't be so as straightforward to figure out, like here, for example. As soon as this G sharp comes in, it's like, what's going on there?
A
As soon
minor.
as this F sharp comes in there, it's like, well, what's going on there? Why is that there? So it looks like these little questions will start to come up. In this kind of a piece, you'll have a lot of questions, right? Like, well, there's pedal notes here, there's passing notes here, there's all sorts of things. But in this kind of music, you'll probably be able to understand most of it, and then there'll be just like little tiny bits questions you'll have here and there, and that's how you learn, because then those little questions you can kind of figure them out, or it's not as much of a drama as like something like this where it's just complicated. So you could start with pieces like this, or the Carcassi. The Carcassi method's probably the
Yeah,
best.
Calcasi.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably the best because
Yeah.
we've talked about. I think the Carcassi is a really good balance of like is using these things like primary chords, and they sound really beautiful, and he doesn't introduce too many complex things into it. And we've already, we have studied a lot of those during our workshops.
Yeah.
So I reckon do a little bit of Carcassi method, studying some of those pieces, and then
Yeah.
the pieces you're playing, just if you want to just do a little bit of spend a little bit of time trying to figure those out,
Yeah.
be good.
Okay.
But there's no urgency. There's no rush to get to analyzing these pieces. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there still Calcasi lessons for the rest of the month? Or
No,
no, no
because
more
it's
Calcasi. Yeah.
Christmas
Okay.
Eve and then New
Yeah.
Year's Eve. So
Yeah.
no, I have to. I'll post that up on the site just to be clear about that when we'll
Yeah.
restart. We'll restart in January.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So did you want to work on Jorge do
Yeah.
Fusta?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Do we? Do we? What do I play first, or should we start from the analyze as well?
Yeah, maybe we'll play it first, and then we can do like a brief
Yeah.
analysis, but
Yeah.
also talk about playing. Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe I'll just play the first page, like the first section, the bit.
first section. Okay.
Oops. Yeah, maybe I'll just
Yeah, good.
do it.
Right. Sounding nice. Beautiful.
Thanks.
You're bringing out the melody really well and beautiful phrasing. I think what's this one? That's a tricky one. Oh, yeah. I think probably the main thing is the the rhythm, which is you've got the rhythm. Maybe I should say tempo more than rhythm. You've got the rhythm is clear, but the tempo, I think, if we can get the tempo to be like really, really locked in, um, so that. Oh, sorry. And so on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That yeah, the
You.
tempo is really locked in, like the subdivision. Bum, 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 bum. Because I mean, you could subdivide it at the semiquaver level. It's kind of written like that. Do you know what I mean? Like the right from the beginning. Bum, 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 bum. It could be a good exercise to use a metronome.
Metronome.
Yeah, and put it on the semiquaver subdivision. Um, do you know how to do that on your metronome?
Subdivision.
Yeah. So
Yeah, just change the
do you use Soundbrenner?
value. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the button in the middle there with the
Yeah,
gotcha, you
just
press
change
that and
that
then
one.
yeah, and then scroll down, and you'll see a semiquaver. Eventually, you'll see a semiquaver um,
Okay.
icon,
Yeah.
and then so I've got 47. So yeah, a bit under 45 maybe, and then so that's on the semiquaver. Yeah, like that. That'll lock you
Okay.
in. You want
Yeah.
to give it a go?
One, two.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh,
Maybe
I like to
just.
set it to 1/4. Set it to
1
1/4 because you get like strong da, 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 da,
Okay.
da, da,
Is
da,
it? Do you normally use 1/4 for all
a
pieces?
lot of the time. A lot of the time,
Okay.
if I'm doing this kind of like subdivision work, I'll do that. But if you're
Yeah.
practicing on the bigger beats, like like on the crotchet beats, and you're in 2/4, then you could set it to 2/4. It'll be like click, click, click. It'll be like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
One.
Maybe it's a bit too fast for me.
too fast. Give it a go. See. Good. Good job. Yeah, nice. You're pretty locked in. Could you sense though your temptations to slow down? So the metronome was revealing that
Oh,
you,
yes.
you tend to slow down. If you weren't using the metronome, you'd be slowing down
Yeah.
in places, especially bar 8. Yeah, whatever that. I'm gonna play that. Um, but even in other places too. I think bar 4 or
Yeah.
maybe bar 5. So yeah, so that's probably the main aspect because everything else is sounding, I think, really, you know, sounding really good. The control of the rhythm and tempo are not exactly the same things, right? Rhythm is like the rhythm we're playing, and tempo is how the rhythm fits in time. So yeah, so that's probably the main thing. You're bringing out the melody really well, which is a challenge.
Okay.
Maybe the other thing would be the dynamics. Um, just to make the dynamics clearer. I'm definitely hearing some good dynamic shaping, but I think probably the two things would be the tempo and the dynamics. If you can just make those very, very, very clear.
Okay.
Um,
Tempo dynamic.
yeah.
Yep.
So just like in the first 4 bars, I think we want this really clear, and I'd say your crescendos could be more. You could just do more crescendo. Get the increase of volume louder. It's probably helpful to do it with the metronome too. So you've got the timing really locked in, and then you've got the dynamics really, really clear. So maybe we can try the first 4 bars with.
One.
Good, good. Let's just stop there.
Oh,
Maybe we'll slow it down a little bit more,
yeah.
and think about the. To me, it's like almost like one measure at a time gets louder and softer. So this bar and then so and then very important that there's a decrescendo all the way, because yeah, actually it's sort of like, if we had to be really specific, it's sort of like there's a crescendo to there, to that, and then the decrescendo starts from here to all the way to there. Yeah. And I think it's helpful to to think in terms of like steps. When we get here, I think it's useful to think in steps on a smaller scale, like chord by chord, and then that's down by step, so that by the time you get here, it'd be very soft. So we really want this a very noticeable dropping in volume there. Do you want to try it again?
One.
I think you could start it and end it still softer.
Oh,
You could
okay. Even
start it
softer.
softer so it gives you more room to crescendo and really get soft. And that in bar 4, it's another way to think of it is tension in this chord, and that's like a resolution. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
tension, resolution.
Yeah.
Try. Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And maybe when you get louder, maybe still could be more power in that. Yeah, so we really feel like the perception of your dynamics is so clear. I mean, you often hear this is like one of those things they even in primary school they'll tell us, like, project to the back of the room. It's like when you speak loud, project to the back of the room. It's almost like when we play loud, we want that. It's not like just loud here, it needs to, if you've ever played in a big hall, you'll realize that like you have to exaggerate a lot. The bigger the hall, the more you have to exaggerate. So you want that to really, yeah, like imagine you're in a big space and you're having to fill that space when it's loud, and then when it's soft, you're drawing everyone in. That's when what you want people to almost like lean foot, like go like that, like what's and so you go from, in one moment you're washing the listener with sound, they're getting like a big sound, and then at the next minute they're going like that, and that's engaging the listener, like that's really, yeah. So if we can get that kind of whispering, and then something like that, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
kind of thing that I like to try and spend when I practice more. But you don't have much time to practice, you don't have much time, but that's the sort of thing I try to perfect more. It's like getting that shaping so that it's tasteful and that I'm in control of it, and it's convincing. Like it's convincing even me. Like I'm listening to it, I'm like, yeah, that's all right. That's very clear, So yeah, you want to try it again? Good. Yeah, it's getting much more convincing. You could also, in addition to just thinking of the volume, these chords have such character to them. You can maybe use that as well to support your shaping, your dynamic shaping. And you could put a bit of character into it. right? There's a lot of character in this music. This chord is very interesting. Can you just play that little bit? Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, maybe these descending chords could be a bit more articulate. Just play that. Can you just play? How funny does that sound just on its own? I don't think you've got the chord. Is that the right chord shape? Maybe go from there, if you can.
Oh, yeah.
Just listen to that. Like, listen. It's pretty unusual. It sounds like if you've ever played a video game and it's game over. Right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah?
A little bit of staccato, you mean? Like,
Yeah. And it just the effect of hearing a chord just going down by one fret. It's pretty like tongue in cheek. Like it's kind of almost like a little bit of a joke. Like I was always a little bit humorous, sort of. It's kind of humorous, but it's kind of sad. Like game over. Like if you're playing a video game and you lose and it's game over, it's kind of like sad because you've lost. But it's kind of funny. You get this kind of, yeah. So and then it kind of finishes. It kind of keeps going in that sad direction. And then we get these rich chords and so on. But now let's just focus on that again. So just those sliding chords one more time. Maybe still a bit more articulated. Articulate means a variety of articulations, like short and long, like not playing it too similar in terms of the length, like that. That's legato. That's it. Now I've mixed it up. And there's many different ways. Articulation is very much like how we speak. There are many different combinations you could use: short, short, long, long, short, long, short, long, long, short, long, short. Just plenty of different ways to do it. But you can just kind of use your own taste, your own feeling. Yeah.
How's that? No? More?
Good. Just more, if you can get more clarity.
I do notice when I play this, it's always, the clarity. I don't know why.
I think it's partly that you want to you want to make sure that the top note is the one that's getting projected evenly. Because sometimes it's... Try again? Yeah, it's good. And then maybe a bit more decrescendo. And maybe heading a bit like almost going from like bright to a bit warmer. You see, I'm a bit warmer on that chord too. Maybe a little bit more gradually. And make sure the bass comes out. I think I'm not quite hearing the bass at all. Yeah. Yeah.
Was that too sudden? Not gradual? Not gradually
Yeah, maybe a
enough?
bit more gradual and a bit more bass. Yeah. Yeah, the bass, sometimes the bass is almost like I almost can't hear it at all. Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. Still got a sadness to it, yeah. And it's a resolution. Or even a bit softer than that would be nice. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's nice. Hmm.
Hello?
It's sounding good.
All right.
Oh yeah, you're all right. You're all right. Yeah. Yes. I can tell you're really listening to the clarity of the chords and then the softness of that one. It's almost like tender, like it's, this one has still a bit of juice to it, and then yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then if we go to the next, all of a sudden it kind of gets rich. And then we get, it's kind of rich. And then it gets a bit sadder again, doesn't it? As the melody drops down, the harmony changes. We get the well, harmonically, there's a lot going on. In bar 4, the end of bar 4, when you play this chord, that's a B7 chord. B7 likes to go to E minor, and that's what the next chord is. And then the A sharp comes in. That's an F sharp 7 chord, which likes to go to B minor, which is what the next chord is, and that's where that kind of sadness comes from. And then we get this E in the bass it's implying an E7 chord, which likes to go to A, and that's where we get the A in bar 8 with the run. And that's, again, it's kind of getting a little bit humorous almost all of a sudden. So we go from like, it's kind of like a little bit quiet and introverted here. Opens up. A bit humorous. Sad. Opens. Sad. And then a bit humorous again. Yeah, so kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Has a lot to do with the harmony, which we maybe next time we can study a bit more in detail. But yeah, do you want to try the next 4 bars? So from there, can we get a richer sound on the on that chord? Yeah, can we just try that chord? Sorry, can we just try that chord?
More?
Yeah, and they are separate, so it's yeah. A little bit more in the bass on the B on the 5th string. Yeah. And then it gets soft and again kind of almost a bit tender.
Is that?
That was good. I like that. There was a bit of character on that accent. You know? Yeah, that's good. Again?
Yeah. Oh, there's something about the. Oops.
Yeah, that's a tricky one too. We want as much clarity.
And also legato.
I think what actually helps with clarity is to actually think of the notes a bit short, like, hey, let me get this right. Rather than trying to make it too legato, you make it a little bit short, a little staccato, especially when you play faster. It can help a lot to get the clarity.
Yeah.
And when you play it slow, yeah, you want to aim for as much clarity. Clarity and yeah.
Okay.
And that.
Yeah.
It's good. So that, yeah, you want to try? Even in the slur too. In the slur, that one. Yeah.
You mean the first two notes?
Yeah, the first two
Also
notes.
short
No, no, no. I mean, try to get clarity in the slur.
clarity. What do you?
Yeah, yeah. That's better.
What do
That's
you?
better.
Yeah.
Mhm. Try to make sure your left hand is moving a little bit more in anticipation. Like it's really you want your left hand. You never want your left hand to be
Yeah.
left behind a little bit. It's always moving. Uh, it's always moving ahead and it's always ready for the next note. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there's something wrong with the coordination between my hand. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah. And that's
thanks
where
for pointing out.
staccato.
So it's my left hand was
I
a
think
bit
so. Yeah,
slow,
I
I
think your left
think.
hand's just a
Okay.
little bit too
Yeah.
sluggish. Like it's just a little bit too slow. And your
Okay.
right hand's kind of ahead, you know,
Well, yeah, I
a
think
little
so.
bit.
I
So
think yeah.
try to get the left hand to be really, and using the metronome is usually very helpful for that
Okay.
because it can
Yeah.
help us coordinate and sync up the hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay, so I mean that's
Yeah.
pretty much the first section.
Yeah.
It just repeats
And
after that. So, um,
yeah, the finish would be slightly different. Finishing.
the finish,
Uh,
what is it? Yeah, yeah, kind of ends happy ending, you know? That's what it's. Back to that. Yeah, so if you go, maybe go from
yeah, the finishing there. Yeah.
bar 13. Nice. Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. Bar 13. If you compare it to bar 5, which is like very similar, and then bar 13, hear the difference? It's almost even more gentle than
Gentle.
mm. Right. Can I hear bar 13 again? I just think you might be missing a note. No, yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, the B
Yeah.
flat. I wanted to make sure you had the B flat.
The
Yeah,
B
one more.
flat
Yeah,
was.
on the third. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
So the B flat really have to stand out.
Maybe stand out a bit more, yeah.
More?
Because it's not more than that, not more than what you're doing now, but more than what you were doing before.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very characteristic note of this chord. It's like a C7 chord.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
You want to continue on that? Yeah. And then it goes sweeps up. That's an interesting note. D sharp. Bring that D sharp out a little bit. He's using tendency tones a lot. So in like in bar 14, that's that's tension, tension, resolution, tension, resolution, tension, resolution. He keeps doing it. I feel like when this theme comes in the second time, we hear this, virtuosic kind of passage. So maybe it's stronger the second time. And we'll have to probably talk about the next section next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think over most important things would be like tempo, use the metronome,
Yeah.
and then just
You
making
mean
the dynamics
yeah. Did
really,
you
really.
did you just not say when I repeat the second time just generally louder? You mean louder than the
Oh,
first
no, no,
time?
I meant bar 9.
Bar nine.
When the theme comes back in bar 9, I think there it could be louder.
Okay.
I think when you do the
Dee, da, da.
repeat, you could just do it the same. I think soft the first time, loud again. I don't think there's already so much variety within the section. I don't think you need to play it
Okay.
differently. In the style, I honestly, I'd say that um, they would probably add their own like ornaments or improvise or something the second time. So, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine them playing it, a Brazilian guitarist playing it exactly the same twice. But
Okay.
we're not, that's sort of beyond the expectation, I would say, of a classical guitarist. Um, yeah, they would
Okay.
probably do, something. I'm not, and I'm not very trained at this at all. I don't even know what kind of ornaments. I'm not trained in that kind of thing. I'm more trained in the sort of like Baroque classical style ornamentation.
Okay.
But yeah, could be good. It could be good to watch. If there's one guitarist I'd recommend is Yamandu Costa. Have you heard of Yamandu Costa?
No,
No.
probably. I've seen the
Check him
face. I
out.
just
Yamandu Costa,
Yamandu
probably the
Costa.
most popular
Yeah.
Brazilian guitarist of today. So
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
all right.
Ah, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Daniel. Yeah. Could you please upload the video? I really wanna watch today's recording,
You,
especially the first half.
yeah,
We
yeah.
did a really thorough analyzed.
analysis. Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanna print out the music again, just write down all the
Write it
detailed
out and
chords
everything.
and
Sure,
yeah,
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah.
and I have a
I
starting
will
set.
upload it.
Thank
I'll
you.
try to do that like yeah, uh, straight after
Yeah, thank you
once
very
it's
much.
uploaded. All
Merry
right.
Christmas
Merry
and Happy
Christmas.
New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, see you in
When? Oh, can we
January.
just clarify
Oh,
when are
yeah,
you ready to start again?
because I'm free. I'm not going anywhere. Just
You're not going
yeah,
anywhere. Okay.
yeah.
So
It's
maybe,
only the next week. I have a
of course, yeah, yeah, yeah.
3 days camping. That's it. And then after that, then nothing
Okay,
in
cool. So
January.
so maybe we
So
start
which
January. We're doing every second week, yeah. So so maybe we'll do the 9th, January 9th. Sorry, for you that's the wait, what day is it?
Tuesday? Yeah, we
Yeah, so
normally do.
the 10th and the 24th
Oh, oh, hang on.
of January.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 10th, 24th. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's good with
All right.
me. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right.
Okay.
Bye
Yeah.
bye.